Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Together with me, you can see two representatives of CVSPA, CAV, and I thank them for being here. Riccardo and Alessio, thank you very much for joining us. Riccardo and Alessio, how are you? Are you ready for the interview? Hi, Christian. Yes, absolutely, we are. We are ready and we're well. Thank you very much, Christian. Good morning, everybody, and thank you again. So let's start from the very beginning. Would you please describe your company for me? Because it's a very young company, right? A relatively young company. CAV is a highway management company, and it manages the Mestre Loop Road and other motorway sections, about 34 kilometers of highway roads. And of course, every day we have to ensure the safety of the users. And first and foremost, in these sections, there are lots of systems that make it possible for our users to enjoy and to exploit the service. We have 120 employees as a company, and we manage the infrastructure since 2008. We've had the legacy of the old Venice and Padua highway, and when the Mestre Loop Road was implemented, the Venice-Padua highway was replaced, and CAV has been managing the whole road system since then. So what were your service requirements in terms of IT services, and what is the reason why you've selected CMDBuild, or the reasons for this? So if there's one, not just one reason. So since the preserving requirements for all of the works and systems, we needed to have an IT system that was able to meet several requirements, because our company cadastre is very complicated, and therefore we needed to manage maintenance plans and inspection plans for all of our works, and to implement preventive and corrective actions for these works, and also to have a history of all of the information, and to store all of the data, have a data logging for the ministerial requirements. And CMDBuild was meeting all of these requirements, and therefore we selected it to exploit all of the potential of the system and to have interaction between all the elements and items in this system. Because, of course, a highway system is a very complex system to be managed, and therefore you need to have consistency. And if 100 street lights are going off, of course, you need to consider the recovery time, and to shorten, of course, the recovery time, to be aware of where the switchboards are for power, what the workers or technicians have to be selected in order to solve and correct the fault. And therefore, we decided to give the asset management system to this company and to this system in order to have a hierarchy class management too. So we started this analysis in terms of renewing the whole system of CAV since 2 years. So we started 2 years ago, and we started working with a new team. At the beginning, we used to have 2 people in this team, so I, myself, and Alessio. But then the team became larger, and we had the opportunity to hire new employees here in CAV, and selecting CMDBuild was based on understanding how flexible and adaptable the system was for our requirements. Because based on our analysis, we found the lack of one single management system, asset management system for our company. And I have to tell you that the reaction, the response we had was excellent. Yes, the hierarchy class management is a strength, of course, for your assets, because we're talking about an heterogeneous asset system. so bridges, overpasses, viaducts, and other servers, tablets, and so on. And since our system is based on a relations paradigm, we have the opportunity to have very targeted researches and solutions, or to move from one tab to the other with just one click, for instance. And we can also create very complex reports in a very short time, for instance. And let's not forget, this also makes it possible to have a high data consistency. Let me also add something to what you said about data logging, because of course having an historic set of information makes it possible to go back and track changes, tabs, for instance, or inspections. And this is, of course, very important, right? So data logging is fundamental, is vital for you. Yes. And this is another reason why we chose CMDBuild. Because one of the requirements our company has is to be able to account for everything we do, to report all of the inspections so to show that we do inspections properly, of course, and having an historical register of all of the information, a data logging, makes it possible for us to work better, of course, and to report everything we do for the ministry or for other institutions and bodies when they need such reports. And having historical data gives us an added value, because in case any operator or service provider makes mistakes and we realize that we've made a mistake somewhere, we can track the mistake back in time and find the information, the correct information that was written in the past, for instance, in order to solve the problem. So now let's move on to another topic. So you started with a ready-to-use version for a verticalization process, and this version focuses mainly on an asset inventory. But then you decided to integrate some other openMAINT functions and other verticalization of CMDBuild. So more specifically, why did you decide to integrate them? This was one of the main activities we had, that's to say, making maintenance, so performing maintenance and reporting and managing all of the structures. And therefore we decided to integrate openMAINT for maintenance, storing and management. So specifically for inspections, we decided to have this function. Then we'll also have the opportunity to see that thanks to this function, you can really check works of art. So bridges, tunnels and underpasses, for instance, and their preservation status and maintenance status. You can check all of this for these works more specifically. Yes, that's correct. And therefore you also implemented a management and planning system for regular inspections, the yearly inspections for every work. More specifically, the responsible for planning will have the opportunity to see different configurations for every maintenance plan for each and every work. And this is very practical in terms of planning, for sure, because it is also possible to create alerts several days before the beginning of every inspection, so that the planner or the user planning the inspections can be informed about it. So that's to say, in a few days' time, they will have to start preparing the inspection for a specific asset. Another strength, if we can call it strength, is versatility of the system and the dynamic character of this system in terms of fault management. For instance, in 18 months, you will have to adapt the whole system to the new ministerial guidelines in terms of fault assessment. And CMDBuild is helping you in this sense because it is very easy to change, add, or remove any check, inspection, or fault assessment. Furthermore, on the page we've developed for you, it is also possible to send pictures as an attachment, to attach pictures for fault assessment for the individual faults. And this is very practical and easy when you have on-site inspections performed by the staff you have. And together with this question on inspections, I'd like to ask you something about the integration with external systems. And more specifically, how did you exploit CMDBuild potential in this sense, so from this point of view, so for the integration with external system? Christian, thank you very much for this question, but thanks to the IT system, we were able to store more master data in CMDBuild, and we've analyzed all of the master data of the network devices, of key clients, desktops, machines, and virtual devices that are updated in a very transparent way. And we use this aspect a lot because it's vital for us to have just one single place to read all the different data. And this was what I mentioned before about the fact that until the introduction of the system, CAV had no single system for asset management. And now, thanks to the ease of use and thanks to the connectors, we were able to have such a system in a short time. So the whole IT management system by CAV is made possible by connectors managing all of the single items. So switches, DIMM clients, or other devices are managed in a single system. What is a connector? A connector is a owned software that is an external software but integrated with CMDBuild, and makes it possible to read data from any source, a database at a point, REST or SOAP or any other type of source, and this information can be then changed, manipulated, and updated in this CMDBuild. And of course, they are imported in an automatic way, and also the information about the employees of CAV, thanks to a master data in the Active Directory, and thanks to a specific connector. And it's based on a single sign-on logic for all the users of the platform. So basically what we did is we created something for the user. A user coming in the morning, connecting with a PC or from home, can use the same credentials, the same login data to establish a connection with CMDBuild, and they can find the same data they can find in all of the other company softwares. So thanks to the services made available by CMDBuild, we shared the data from other systems for other functions, for instance, integration with the accounting system for works that made it possible the reporting function for all of the interventions and also the lineup function. Now we are thinking about integrating the system with other important software in the market, the renowned softwares in the market, in order to have one single IT system containing everything, where data are written once, just once, by the users, and is then updated constantly in all of the systems and can be also exchanged through the individual connectors. Yes, very good. Now moving to the interface, so the exchange and use by all of CAV employees. You're also using the portal for this, right? Yes, of course, we do use the portal, and this is one other important point. Before implementing CMDBuild, we were using a ticketing management system with several limitations, basically, because it wasn't possible to perform specific functions. And the portal was integrated with CMDBuild, and this made it possible to overcome these limitations and problems. And we found a channel to have one single system for all of the general requests on part of the staff for any work. So all of CAV employees can open general requests from the portal by using the login credentials for the Active Directory. And this is a totally transparent process for CMDBuild. And of course, you don't need to know about CMDBuild to use the system. So users don't need to know about CMDBuild, basically, because the system is updating all of the asset information. The ticketing system gives information to the ones who need to do specific requests on the assets, and therefore you can just see the proprietary assets, basically. Every user can see the ticket status, and it's updated in real time based on the priority, based on the fact that the ticket was opened and processed, and all of the tickets are managed by the staff, and they are uploaded in CMDBuild directly. So always talking about IT systems, so CMDBuild and so on. What are your future perspectives? Well, when we will work fully and we will have stored all of the master data, we want to use CMDBuild as a data browser, a single data browser, to have a better device management and traffic, so that we can have just one single master data for all the information contained in the company, and to integrate the system with the accounting and reporting system for the work, so that the technicians working on site can count on IT systems and tools to work also when they're outside of the company, so that they can manage all of the reports on the inspections and interventions, and they can exploit, of course, their checklists, and they can show all of the activities they performed, all of the works done and performed that are then stored in the system straight away. Then we also wanted to assess another point. That's to say, CMDBuild as a building information modeling system, because our company has to comply with public administration guidelines, and therefore since January 2023 we will have to comply with specific guidelines for all of the tenders for over €1 million. For all of these projects and tenders, we will need to have the models, and therefore we wanted to have one single tool to collect all of this information. And CMDBuild is the right tool for this, because it gives us the opportunity to store this data and meet this requirement too. Yes, and in order to do this, CMDBuild will meet your requirements, because it makes it possible for you to upload DFC files and to define a specific mapping between some of all of the project items and elements in CMDBuild sheets or tabs. And this is useful when you are talking about bridges with spans or abutments, for instance. So, the last question now. What are your final conclusions? For us, at present, we can say that we are satisfied with the choice, with the decision, based on analysis that lasted over 1 year. And CMDBuild is a very good solution for us. We found an ideal solution for the requirements we had. Of course, we do realize that the system needs change, of course, needs to be fine-tuned. And with Tecnoteca and CMDBuild, we will need to assign a new task to the human resources managing the platform. They will need a deep knowledge and, of course, a transparent approach. They need to know how to use such application for sure, but they need to be aware of the importance of data and times, of course. The data storing times and the data management, because the data are not just necessary for the work, but also a preparation for the next works and operations to be implemented by the company. Okay. Thank you very much. Once again, we asked all of the questions we wanted to ask, and thanks for taking part in this interview. And I think we can conclude here. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Christian, and thank you all. Bye-bye.